I'm Liz Ferguson, and I'll be talking to you about our project involving the evaluation of post-fire pollinators at 3 different sites in San Diego County. So first off, I'd like to introduce you to our ArcGIS online dashboard. The link for this is accessible via our GitHub site. And in this particular project, we evaluated 3 different regions. One in the northernmost section of the study area. Rock Mountain had the most recent fire, and also previous to that, many other fires. Fairview, the site in the southernmost portion of the region, had the second most recent fire in 2017, but fewer fires in general. And Paula Mesa, which is the site over in the eastern side of our study area, had the longest time interval between fires. And the last fire there was 2007, and historically there's less frequent fires within this region. And for this, we used a combination of focal observation, so in-situ data collection. We also incorporated something called ecosystem services, and specifically an we used the INVEST tool provided by Stanford University. And within INVEST, there's a crop pollination model that utilizes information on land cover type, as well as information regarding insect, floral resources, and nesting availability within those different land cover sites in order to predict where pollinators are likely to be more prevalent within a site. And this produces basically values per pixel, wherein you can evaluate, given the land cover, what is expected in terms of the supply index or the relative abundance of those insects. Now, in the crop pollination model, they compared different types of bees, but for our purposes, we compared bees to all other pollinators. And the reason why we separated those two is bees are going to be an invasive species, or honeybees specifically are an invasive species, and also all other insects are going to have differences in terms of their nesting practices, as well as the distances that they travel to their floral resources. So we separated it out for those reasons. This all other pollinators largely incorporates native insect species, as well as some invasive ants. Now, in this ArcGIS online dashboard, in each of these panels, you can expand in the right-hand corner. In this section to the left, you'll see that there's a link to our iNaturalist site where you can find more information on some of the observations during the in-situ monitoring or focal observations. And then I'll also just point out we've got a couple figures here. On the bottom, we have land cover distribution by site within a 6-kilometer circumference surrounding each of these different sites, as that is the maximum distance we indicated for honeybee travel. In the bottom here, middle, we have a figure of the pollinator supply index by sites, using again that 6-kilometer circumference, and that's separated out by bees in the yellow and other pollinators in the green. On the top, we have the focal observations, the counts of all other pollinators and bees at each site. And on the right-hand side, we have the actual pollinator supply index results, which you can toggle off and on using the layers here in order to look at the bee supply index or relative abundance and all other pollinators. And I'll just point out too, in the left-hand corner, we have an idea of the diversity indices for each of these sites, including Shannon diversity in evenness as well as Simpson diversity. So it can get a better idea of some of the diversity metrics by looking at that hidden panel. And I'll just largely point out that what we found is, despite that there was this anticipated distribution of the relative abundance of bees and other pollinators that mimicked a similar pattern at each of the sites and overarchingly was larger at the Rock Mountain site. And what we found in the focal observations was that Rock Mountain, the most recent and frequent fires, had a very large all other pollinators, so largely native pollinator abundance that was occurring at that site. At the Fairview site, we saw the opposite, where bees took over as compared to those other pollinators, and somewhat of an even distribution in the counts of those different insect pollinators at the Paula site, where there was the most historic fire. Now, Some of the reasoning behind that, why we didn't see this pattern at Rock Mountain, might have to do with this concept of reservoir habitat and there being a larger amount of reservoir habitat, not only for bees, but also for those insects, for those native insects surrounding that particular site as compared to Palo Mesa and Fairview. So we think that might be something interesting to explore further. If you're wanting to learn more about our project and our report, please visit our GitHub site. There you'll find information on our project report, the data that we used for the Invest crop pollination model and results, as well as other information, including a link to the ArcGIS online dashboard. We hope you enjoy learning about our project.